Right, hello, and welcome back to my series on renovating my Virginia Beach oceanfront condo. Today, I want to discuss kitchen, bathroom, and laundry design. Not actually the implementation, but the things you got to do before you even start the project, what you got to think about, because it helps you plan your project. So, I'm going to talk about, your dream designs and what you know, your fantasies, and then you call in a plumber and electrician to do their free estimate and give you an overview of what's required to make that happen, and then how you revise it to meet the reality of your budget and timeline, or even what's allowed in your condo association if you're living in a condominium like me. All right, so let's start with the apartment layout. You might have seen this in the other videos, but it'll just give you a quick review. It's a basic 648 square foot, 60 square meter apartment, two bedrooms, one bath, six interior doors. It's on the first floor on a concrete slab. So all of these things matter to a plumber and somewhat to an electrician. Uh, so originally, I wanted to put the laundry. I wanted to extend here in the kitchen. You see in this red box, I wanted to extend this kitchen cabinet line all the way out to the wall, and then have laundry over there. But yeah, that didn't work out that way. When I called in the plumber, um, yeah, we had to put it here where the main drain was. Otherwise, we would be cutting a trench, and every cubic foot of concrete's like 150 pounds, and there would have been like probably like a half ton of material to be removed, and that itself is its own thing. And then cutting the trench and laying all the pipes and the noise and the dust, it just wasn't realistic. So we decided to move it here where every other apartment in the building has got it. Who's got laundry? They do it right behind in the bedroom closet behind the bathroom, so they're aligned with the drainage. Then we also it's a closer run to run the electrical as well. You're not going all the way across the apartment. I got a $2,000 quote for that just to do that, and it was only like $1,500 to do the electrical from here to here, but also included like five other things I needed done as well. So it was really much cheaper and much faster to get it done that way. But let's go and show you where we are at on the project plan. I just wanted to circle back to that. I probably should have done that earlier. So we're all the way, these are all the steps that are done. So at the time of recording, I'm already done with electrical and plumbing. And, kitchen and bathroom design is mostly settled. I'm now just looking for fixtures, and that'll be kind of ongoing. I'm keeping an eye, but generally it's settled. The design is settled, and now it's just the details, like what kind of faucet do I want, the sink, color of the countertops, that kind of thing. But the big stuff, the general stuff, is what we're going to talk about. What the general design should be settled early on, so you know how to do the plumbing, and electrical, and build around that. You can solve the details later, like cabinet colors and knobs and all that stuff can be done, much later, when you start ordering, you ordering your appliances and everything. So somewhere down here, appliance and cabinet delivery, that's probably where I'll do the ordering, and then that's where you can settle all of that. So let's move on to the kitchen. Let's talk about the kitchen here. So you've seen pictures in the other videos and the walkthroughs. We have a north facing wall. We have 84 inches of cabinet on the top. It's actually a foot high, but I'm going to go all the way to the ceiling. So that's probably going to be another foot, get those long cabinets, so that way we don't have any dead space for the dust to collect. And then we have down here, we have just lower cabinets. There's just actually three lower cabinets overall in this kitchen. So we have a dishwasher cabinet, and then on the other side, the south facing wall, we have again 84 inches of cabinet. We have a hood. I marked the appliances in gray, and we have just one cabinet. So we have like three base cabinets, and I believe we're going to have like, I think, eight top cabinets. Sometimes they come in sets of two. So you have like two by two, and sometimes they just sell one at a time. I have to see. Actually, the next slide is that slide. So yeah, IKEA is proposing. Actually, I guess they broke it up into three on the north wall. I had to take out. This was my fantasy, but that all had to be taken out, like having the washing machine and two extra rows of cabinets. this is going to save a lot of money, cutting all this out and going to sticking with the standard kitchen. Um, I feel bad, I like to do a little bit of a stretch and do a little bit, put my signature on there for unique stuff. Like if you've seen my past renovations, I always have some kind of something different, something unique that stands out, but I won't be able to do it here. The goal here is to stay within budget and stay within the timeline. I'm treating this place like it's going to be a rental in the future. Um, Also, the other thing you want to consider too with cabinets is like it's more room for the bugs and more stuff to clean, more surfaces to get dirty. So it's better to just keep everything open and then maybe bring in like temporary cabinets, like some china cupboard or something, or that can be moved around and cleaned. The south wall, so yeah, we'll have three cabinets across the top, one long one, and then the north wall will have two long cabinets, and then a short cabinet. We're gonna stick to the standard kitchen sink. I actually threw out the one we had; it was the same thing, but I just want to start over. Probably I don't want to take any chances. It was probably bent during renovation, but looking back, I probably should have just saved it. I'd have saved a few $100, and then we'll get this same fixture that we had before, where you can pull this down and wash your dishes. But I was able to sell it and recoup some money. I mean, if you can save your kitchen sink and everything, I'm still debating whether to go to a double bowl sink or not. But they just don't look right in the small sizes. But again, that can be worked out later. In general, what you want to work out by now in this stage of your project is just generally, the layout, the general layout of your kitchen. That we're going to stay, in the galley style of the kitchen. Okay, now the bathroom. You know, so the bathroom is even more complicated because it's really small. You can see we just have a sink here and we have a toilet. So I had to find a narrow toilet, and that was like an American Standard Cadet or something. It was much narrower, like 18 inches wide. And I'm going to have to find a sink base cabinet. And then we're going to do a banjo countertop. So I took all the measurements here. The layout is more or less going to be the same, but we're going to go to something like this, what's called a banjo countertop. I'm going to put down a cabinet. In this example, this bathroom is about a foot and a half longer. They're 18 inches longer than what we have, so it's going to be a little bit more compressed. But I'd like to still keep the same size sink, so I'd have to go with a 20-inch. I'll go back up to this side. So we go with a 20-inch sink base, and then go with a narrow toilet, and then join it with a countertop like this, so that there's at least room to set stuff. You get all this like in a small apartment. Every little bit of shelf, every little bit of place to set something matters. It's really valuable. And then I just clipped some pictures of the surfaces. We want this simulated marble. And what I'm trying to do with the bathroom is actually make it look as much like the apartment I have in Ukraine, to match that. So I've already picked out like this blue sink base, 21 inch. I'm looking for 20, but I'll take 21. It's just any little extra helps. I think we can get away with up to 22. 24 would be too crowded. And then we'll just use a standard drop-in sink here, like an oval drop-in sink. I think there's some Glacier Bay ones that are cheaper than this Deer Valley, but actually this is where I'm going to spend the money because this has to be right. Bathroom and kitchens, and then this is what we're going to do for floor tile, like what we did in Ukraine. I actually found it here. It's super expensive here. It's like a commodity in Ukraine. It's like 10% of the price because I think they come from Turkey or Spain, these tiles. And so it's a big deal in America, but in like Ukraine or Europe, this is like very standard stuff. You just see this used everywhere over there, but here it's like a luxury. But good thing is I only need 20 square feet. That's all that 21 square feet is going to be tiled. And maybe I'm going to use the same tile, like cut it into thirds and make that the edge and make that the trim. Or, the instead of using wood trim, I'll just use the tile trim, with some of the leftovers, do something creative there. And, that'll kind of put my signature on the apartment. Now, laundry. Let's discuss the laundry. Again, I want to just reemphasize we had to do the laundry here in the closet instead of out in the kitchen because, you have to cut a drain line all the way to the main branch, and that's in the bathroom, in the lower part of the bathroom, under the toilet. And that's a long cut. We didn't want to do that. And also running the wiring and everything, that just would have blown up the budget and blown up the timeline. So, and probably a lot of plumbers don't even want to do that. It's just a lot of heavy work, you know. and we're going to go with this all-in-one machine. I don't know yet, because this is like requires an app and everything to operate. It requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of cleaning. They generally do a good job. They just take longer to clean, but you just run your clothes overnight. That's what you do. You just throw them in, and that's what we were doing in Ukraine. We were just running laundry overnight. So if you're used to living European way, then this is a great machine. But it is a high maintenance. So we may end up just going with the washer only and drying on a clothesline. One of those fold out clothes racks like they do in Europe, and we'll just do that. This is cheaper. This is like 750 bucks, and this is $2,000. So we'll probably end up just doing that. And if we go to sell the apartment or rent it out, then I'll come back and put in this machine. And then just incrementally, of course, that would be added to the price or the rent. Um, but yeah, the technology is there now. It doesn't require a vent. That's the big plus. We don't need to vent it, and it just requires 120 volts versus 240, and it requires a 1.5 drain line, but we put in a 2-inch drain line just to be safe because washers tend to push out a lot of water at once, and we don't want any backup. So we got it on its own separate branch and everything. So that's all I got today. Give me a like, subscribe, comment. Share this with anybody that's doing remodeling. And if you have any questions about renovating small condos, small houses, I'm a specialist in small spaces. I've mostly renovated small places in Chicago, in Europe. I have actually never done a project or a house over 120 square meters or 1,200 square feet. Um, Everything I've renovated has been smaller, and I have a real knack for that. So if you have questions about that or need some tips or advice, just contact me at this email. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.